Bruno was a little dog with a soft, scruffy coat and a bright red collar that jingled when he ran. He loved his collar. It was warm, familiar, and made him feel special. It had accompanied him through many adventures, from chasing butterflies in the park to splashing in puddles after the rain. One afternoon, Bruno was playing near the city fountain, rolling happily on the grass. He wiggled and kicked his legs in the air, enjoying the warm sun on his belly. But when he stood up and shook himself off, something felt different. His red collar was gone. Bruno's ears drooped. He sniffed the ground, trying to find a clue. Had it slipped off when he rolled? Had he left it by the fountain? He needed to find it. His collar was far too important to lose. Bruno trotted over to the bakery, where the scent of fresh bread and biscuits filled the air. Whiskers, the bakery cat, was lounging on the windowsill, licking his paws.
Whiskers, have you seen my red collar?
Bruno asked, his tail wagging hopefully. The cat flicked his tail and blinked lazily.
I saw something red near the fruit cart earlier. Maybe it's still there.
Bruno's paws pattered against the pavement as he hurried toward the fruit cart. The stall was packed with bright apples, juicy oranges, and big bunches of bananas. But there was no sign of his collar. A plump pigeon pecking at some crumbs nearby ruffled his feathers and cooed.
Looking for something, pup?
My collar. It's red and jingles when I run,
Bruno explained. The pigeon tilted his head.
I saw a little squirrel running past with something red in its mouth. She went toward the big tree in the park.
Bruno gasped. A squirrel? What would a squirrel want with his collar? He dashed off to the park, his nose twitching as he sniffed the air. Under the big tree, he spotted the squirrel sitting on a branch, nibbling on an acorn. And there, tucked beside her, was his red collar. Bruno barked up at her.
That's my collar. Please give it back.
The squirrel chattered excitedly.
Oh, I found it on the grass and thought it would make a perfect cozy nest.
Bruno's ears perked up. He understood his collar was warm and soft, just right for a little squirrel's nest. But it was also special to him. Bruno sat down and thought. He didn't want to take away her cozy spot, but he also needed his collar back. Then an idea popped into his head.
If I find you something even better, will you give me my collar back?
He asked. The squirrel's tail twitched.
Okay. But it has to be really soft.
Bruno searched around the park, sniffing under bushes and behind benches. Finally, near a playground, he found a fluffy scarf that someone had left behind. It was soft, warm, and just the right size for a little nest. He carefully carried it back and placed it under the tree.
Here. This is even softer than my collar.
The squirrel sniffed it, gave it a few pats, and chirped happily.
This is perfect. Okay, you can have your collar back.
Bruno wagged his tail as she nudged the red collar down to him. He slipped it back around his neck, feeling happy and proud. As he trotted off through the city, his collar jingling once more, he couldn't help but smile. He had found his lost treasure, made a new friend, and learned that sometimes a little kindness and a good idea can solve any problem. And from that day on, whenever he passed by the big tree, he always made sure to bark a friendly hello to the squirrel in her cozy, fluffy nest.